The Detroit Lions did it again, another A-plus hire. And let's not waste time. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about who we hired. I'm going to give you a little background about this guy. And I'm going to talk to you about why I think this is such a good fit on the Detroit Lions coaching staff and how we essentially just straight replaced Duce Staley. It's very unique to find a guy that can do the same things. And in some ways, Mr. Scotty Montgomery might be even better, dare I say, than Duce Staley. So let's look into this. First, let's go to our boys over at Pride of Detroit, and let's talk about this hiring for the Detroit Lions. They are hiring him to do the exact same thing. You heard me right. They are hiring him to do the exact same thing that Duce Staley did. Not only is he the running backs coach, but he is the assistant head coach. This is very, very interesting to me. I always pay attention to the assistant head coach title when it comes to the Detroit Lions because that is the path in which Dan Campbell took to get here. I think he has a level of respect for that position. I think it is an important position. And Scotty Montgomery, as we'll talk about in a little bit, brings something that Duce Staley didn't to this position that I'm very, very excited about. So there you see him, Scotty Montgomery. He came from the Colts most recently. He was their running backs coach. Think of any good running backs in Indianapolis that, maybe made a case for being a running back, winning the MVP a couple years ago, or just the best running back in football a couple years ago? Yeah, that's right. Jonathan Taylor. Here's his coach. And I know what you're saying. Like, hey, it is what it is. Like, hey, he's a great player. Does that mean he's a good running backs coach? Well, let's look at the past and then also look. We have a season of Jonathan Taylor without Scotty Montgomery, and then we have a season of Jonathan Taylor with. So let's look at the differences in what he did, and we'll get there in just a moment. So there was reported multiple teams interested in adding Scotty to their coaching staff. He's another former NFL player. He played 5 years. He was signed as an undrafted free agent with the Carolina Panthers in 2000. Later, he joined the Broncos and played in Denver for 3 years before ending his NFL career with the Raiders in 2003, it says. He went back to Duke. I think that's where he went to college. And he went back to Duke as a wide receivers coach, and then has made his first move to the NFL to coach the Steelers receivers for 3 years. Here's the unique connection. There he would coach current Lions wide receiver coach Antoine Randall L. This is crazy. So then he returns back to Duke to be their associate head coach and offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Okay. Like, this is when Duke had those good offense for a little while. And then he was actually hired on to be a head coach. And I gave you the tease earlier in this video. This is the thing that Scotty Montgomery has done that I don't think Duce Staley has ever done. He was a head coach for 3 years. And then his most recent job was with the Indianapolis coach, where he was the running backs coach for the last 2 seasons. Notably helping Jonathan Taylor become one of the best in 2021. He was the best. He was the best. But this is a guy who is well respected amongst the league. This is a guy who has had a large amount of coaching experience. He's coached at every level. He's coached at every position, or I guess rung of the ladder. He's been your coordinator. He's been a head coach. So we'll start head coach. He's been coordinator. He's been the assistant head coach. You can put that in with coordinator if you want. He's been position coach, wide receivers, running backs. He is a guy who is well-rounded, and he's a former player. This is the kind of hire that you want to make. This is the kind of guy who can talk to anybody in a locker room because he has been in every position before, and he has done it at a respected and high level. This is a great hire. Like, this is a hire where you can say, all right, would he have a shot at becoming an offensive coordinator after a year or two under Ben Johnson, if Ben Johnson decides to leave? The sky's the limit for this guy. It's fantastic. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he did with Jonathan Taylor and if he actually helped him be better. So this is 2020. You can see it highlighted in the red or in the yellow. Red. I don't know what I'm thinking there. All right. This is Jonathan Taylor his year without, I want to say that again, without Scotty Montgomery. It was his rookie year. He ran for 1,100 yards, almost 1,200, 11 touchdowns, 5 yards per carry average, and did pretty decent in the receiving game. If you remember, it really took him a while to get going that year. And then all of a sudden, 2021, here comes Scotty Montgomery. Here comes a Pro Bowl nod. Here comes first team AP All Pro. This is what happens in 2021. And part of that is just Montgomery helping him. And part of that is just Taylor being Taylor. Like, that's just the way it goes. But he averaged another half yard per carry on 100 more carries. And some of you might be like, well, a half yard, is that a big deal? 5.5 yards per attempt in the NFL is a big deal. He averaged 106 yards per game. He was unbelievable that year. He had 18 touchdowns. He averaged 5.8 yards per touch. The dude was on fire. Teams were completely hauling in to stop him, and he kept it going. And then he battled a lot of injuries this past year, which stopped him from being his normal, amazing Jonathan Taylor self. But this is a good hire for the Detroit Lions. Scotty Montgomery is a good hire. And as far as us from the outside looking in is concerned, like, this checks every single box. It checks, I don't know if I said this, every single box that you'd want it to. And so when we're talking about this hire, we have to put it in the genius hire category. And the reason we have to do that is because it feels like it's a surefire. It feels like it's going to work. And I'm not saying anybody can just come in and replace and be Duce Staley. You don't hire another Duce Staley to replace Duce Staley. But who knows? Maybe this guy can get even more out of Swift. Maybe he can keep the momentum going with the other guys. Duce Staley was great, but if you watch the interactions between him and DeAndre Swift, and you're not bringing in a guy to be a good coach for DeAndre Swift, you're bringing in a guy to be a good coach. But when you watch the interactions between the two of them, there was clearly a large difference in demeanor. Duce Staley didn't know how to throttle down. DeAndre Swift really struggled throttling up and staying up. So maybe bringing in a coach that has a little more versatility to his coaching package could be a really good thing for this running backs room. But overall, this running back room has been in great shape. And now our hope is that it just continues to be in great shape. And who knows what his future is with this team. So very exciting that he'd want to come over here. Very exciting that he wants to be a part of this. And he was part of a good staff. And not only that, we got to look at him. We got to talk with him. Duce Staley knew who he was because we had those joint practices. It's pretty neat. It really is. So, hey, couple reminders for you at the end of this video. Memberships are now live. If you want to be part of that, have special emojis, maybe get in on some member-only live chats, have priority response comments, things like that. Sign up for a membership. We'd love to have you. Great way to fund the channel. And also, hit that subscribe button. Do it. We love having you subscribe to this channel, have you part of the Sports Talk Detroit community. We'll see you on the next one. Go Lions.